You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a life coach, Nancy can teach you how to stay strong under pressure and work through challenges you face. Being legally blind, Nancy inspires others to be resilient in overcoming obstacles and live full out. You can ask Nancy for advice in your life on relationships, finance, business, health, and more. Just call in at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. Now, here's Nancy.
Thank you for joining us today. I'm Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And today we're talking about creating your own path as you strive to live full out. But how do you do that? How do you find a lane that is not so busy with people going for the same dream, the same goal? How do you find your purpose if you're still looking for it? So we're going to be talking all about that, taking your calls at 800-333-0001. Also, stay tuned. On our next segment, we're going to be joined by our inspirational guest, Jeff Float, U.S. Olympic swimmer who was legally deaf at infancy, literally 90% deaf in his right ear, 65% deaf in his left ear. But yet he went on to make huge successful strides in his life, and he's going to talk to us about that and his journey to creating his own path. And we want to make sure that you are inspired beyond this show today. So make sure to go to livingfullout.com, our radio page, check out all of our different episodes, find the one that most relates to what you're overcoming right now. Or if you're on the go at the gym, in the car, remember you can go to the App Store and look for Living Full Out Radio. Or if you have an Alexa, call her up and say Living Full Out Radio, and you can listen that way as well. But either way, we just want to make sure that, as you strive to create that own path, that you have resources, that you have the support to do so. Now, I am getting word from our producer that we do have a caller on the line. We're going to go say hello to them. Hi, welcome to Living Full Out Show. Hi, thank you for calling. How can I help you?
Hi, Nancy. I have a question. I'm a teacher and of young children, and sometimes we feel that a child needs services like speech or OT or something like that. How do we approach the parents?
That is a great question. A lot of times I think it's helpful to show an outcome, a result. I know for myself, I'm legally blind, and when I started losing my vision, and certain mentors said, hey, Nancy, you need to do this. You need to learn this visual aid. I was like, no, my vision isn't going to get that bad. But I'm so glad that I listened. But the way that they got me to actually commit to it and take it on and learn it was they showed me other people with my condition and how quickly the vision could go from where I had it to a lot less. And so what you might want to consider is, depending on the student and their situation and what they're overcoming, see if you can find success stories online, people who have had the same condition or impairment. And, if there is a story there that you can utilize as a tool, as a learning tool. I know there's so many different children with autism now, of different aspects of that on the spectrum, or even finding these kids who have become adults with autism that have gone on to make great strides. So that would be my first advice. Secondly, depending on the age of the child, really having a conversation, trying to find the right questions to interview the child. Are they empowered? Do they understand? Do they feel lonely? Do they feel disconnected? I really feel that every parent wants the best for their children, and you're with the child all the time at school. They might not see, are they mingling with the others? Are they holding back? Are they not raising their hand? What does their homework look like compared to another student? Do you see what I'm saying? Just giving them that comparison. Mm-hmm. That's what I would do.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a wonderful day, okay? Thank you for calling in.
Okay. Very good. Bye-bye.
Bye. Love that she asked that question, though, right? Because when we think about carving our own path, and she's a teacher, right? She's got to think about, how can I be as impactful as I can to this student's life? How can I educate the parents in being the best supporters, the best aid to their child? And I have a feeling that teacher has gotten a lot of awards, right? Because she's calling in, she's trying to find as many resources as she can to make that valuable impact. Now, we're going to go back to the lines and see what another caller is up to today. Hi, welcome to Living Full Out Show. Hi, welcome to the show.
Nancy.
Yes.
Hi, Nancy. My name is Tara, and I'm dealing with a lot of anxiety. I worry about my kids. I worry about the future, and I worry about the environment. I do see a therapist on a regular basis, but I'm wondering if you have any particular advice about how to deal with, generalized anxiety or even specific things that we worry about too often, maybe.
Well, and you know what? Thank you so much for calling in, because I'm sure there's other
Mm-hmm.
people that are nodding their head. We just can't see it, obviously, radio, right? But the
Right.
thing that you want to remember when you have a fear, when you have anxiety, when you're feeling that heaviness in your heart or on your mind, you want to always remember that you've overcome that feeling before. Now, you have to go back in time and think about a time that you had anxiety for a test. Maybe it was back when you were in school and you were worried all night, you worried all week, I don't know, I would have been breaking out, right? Thinking about all this,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to get a grade, whatever. But when the test came, you do the best you can, you get whatever grade you get, and life went on, right? Life does go on.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Mm-hmm.
same with other life disappointments. And you want to go back and see, how did you manage your stress during that time, your anxiety? And then also just kind of looking at when you got to the other side of it, it may not have been the ideal outcome, but life did go on, right? People went on their way. You went on to still have a great life. The reason why I
Mm-hmm.
say that is because there's going to be things in our control. We can study for that test. We can get a tutor. We can ask for extra time. And so some of these fears or anxieties that you're having that are in your control, then we want to think about things that you can do. Now, there's other elements of these fears, like you said, the environment. There are things that you can do too in that way,
Mm-hmm.
but you're one of millions of people, right, that contribute to a particular toxic outcome maybe, or deterioration, or whatever it is that you're fearing, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But you can do your part to move it forward.
Yeah.
So the thing about a fear is that a lot of times we feel helpless. We feel powerless. We feel helpless. That's where all those worries come from. But if you say to your head and your heart, you know what, I'm going to do what I can do. And I'm just going to have to leave the rest to the others. I'm going to have to trust in the process, just like I trusted that I got through that exam, and however the outcome was, I'm going to trust that it's going to be okay. And that is really an important conversation to have when you're in this place. A therapist is great, and I'm super glad that you're in therapy. But at the same time, I know a lot of clients who have gone to therapy and they discuss the same situation over and over and over again. Ultimately, it's within you. It's the power of the words you say to yourself and to others. It's your ability to flip that switch. The minute you see that it's going in a negative way, flip that switch so you want to grab something positive that you can hold on to. And last piece of advice, a really good friend of mine gave me advice one time when I was going through a stressful time. And she said, Nancy, would you walk into a bad neighborhood with bars on the windows and just frolic around and, be happy-go-lucky? Or would you be on alert a little bit? Or would you even go into that neighborhood? She goes, going into a physical bad neighborhood is like going into a mental bad neighborhood. So the minute you know that you're going into that bad neighborhood mentally, that's when you need to turn to that friend that you know that you can call for empathetic support. That's when you make that therapy appointment. Do you see that?
Okay. Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Those are really great suggestions. I really appreciate you and the show.
Well, thank you so much for calling in. And honestly, I know you're going to make great strides. Just do what you can do. That's all you can do. You have to leave the rest to others to your faith, to the universe, to just knowing that it's going to work out. Okay?
Great. Thanks,
Thank
Nancy.
you for calling in. And for everybody listening today, we are talking about creating our own path. And again, we bring great examples of that each week. So make sure you stay tuned for Jeff Float's interview, U.S. swimmer, legally deaf, but yet he went on to make great strides. How did he do that? So stay with us. I am Nancy Solari. This is the Living Full Out Show. We're going to focus today on creating that own path, living your life full out, and really being able to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I'm doing what I can. I'm proud of what I've accomplished. And you know what? I am living full out. Remember to always choose those positive words. Let them resonate through your body so that with every step, you're purposeful, you're intentional, and you're living your life full out. We'll be back.
Hi, professional skateboarder Tony Hawk here with Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck to remind you to get moving every day.
Because when you get moving an hour a day,
you'll have the energy to skate through anything.
Nice play on words, Doc.
That's how I roll, Bugs. So whether you like to work the half pipe,
now that's catching air,
kick the soccer ball around, or dance in your room,
just move it your way.
For an hour a day.
The way you like to move, as long as you're moving.
Carve out some time every day and get active. Because it's time to do a 180 on what you think exercise is.
Because it can be whatever you want it to be. So be a player.
Be a player.
Get up and play an hour a day, Doc. Check out how to be a player at letsmove.gov.
Head online to get tips on great ways to get moving every day.
At www.letsmove.gov. Let's hear that one more time, Doc. That's www.letsmove.gov. A message from the Ad Council and HHS.
I'm Nancy Solari, Certified Life and Business Coach. I want to invite you to the Personal Development Bootcamp. During the bootcamp, we're going to be looking at taking those insecurities that you have and getting rid of them. We're also going to look at ways in which you can thrive and live a life full of purpose. Go to livingfullout.com/bootcamp, livingfullout.com/bootcamp to sign up. I believe in you, and here's to you living your life full out.
I'm Sarah, and this is my story.
I'm Ellen, and this is my story.
One night, I was at a bar. I was having fun with my friends.
I
had one too many drinks.
I
got behind the wheel to go home.
I got a cab to go home.
All of a sudden, from out of nowhere, a squirrel ran across the road. It happened so quickly, I barely had time to react.
The cabbie barely had time to react.
I swerved.
The cab swerved.
I can't believe it. I hit a guy.
I cannot believe it. The cabbie just missed a guy.
I wish I took a cab.
Thank goodness I took a cab.
You have the choice to save a life. Don't drive buzzed. It's a decision you'll never regret. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the Department of Transportation and the Ad Council.
Hey, America, we need to have a little talk. We've got more food than we know what to do with in this country, yet 17 million kids in America are struggling with hunger. Makes no sense. Luckily, the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks has volunteers gathering excess food and getting it to hungry kids. They're kind of like food angels. Hey, become a food angel yourself by supporting Feeding America in your local food bank at feedingamerica.org. We can't do it without your help. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
If you think depression is all in a person's head, you're right. It's a brain illness. And like other illnesses, it has symptoms. Depression can make those who suffer from it feel hopeless. It can even lead to suicide. Learn how to stop depression from taking another life. Call SAVE, Suicide Awareness Voices of Education, 1-888-511-SAVE, on the web at save.org.
I'm Alec Baldwin. Like any parent, I'm concerned about children's health. Many kids don't eat as they should and are at risk for long-term health problems like diabetes and heart disease. But here's good news. Fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and other low-fat vegetarian foods can protect our kids and keep the rest of the family healthy too. For a free booklet, call the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine at 1-877-685-KIDS or visit www.kidsgethealthy.org.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. With Nancy's expertise, you'll learn how to embrace your potential and strive for success. If you have a question or need further support, send us an email at connect@livingfullout.com. Now, here's Nancy.
Welcome back. I'm Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And today we're talking about creating your own path. And we have brought an inspirational guest for you today who has done that times 10. Okay, honestly, Jeff Float is amazing. But his story started really early. At infancy, he was legally deaf due to viral meningitis, and obviously started at infancy. But over time, he had to discover the hearing loss and how to manage that, but yet how to develop his own path. What were going to be his goals and his dreams? And he had many of them, which he will share with us. But ultimately, as a U.S. swimmer, went on to have huge successes, which we'll talk about shortly. So I'd like to very much welcome Jeff to the show.
Well, thank you for having me on your great show, Nancy.
Well, happy to have you, mister. You are a diamond in this world. And so I am just so proud of everything you've achieved. But, we don't pop out of, the gate of life, right, with all the achievements. We have to kind of crawl through the trenches and figure life out. And like with me being legally blind, you had to challenge being legally deaf. And so I want to kind of take our audience back a bit because I know in your family, they started noticing your hearing loss around the age of 3, that, you weren't hearing so well. And obviously a good family friend kind of caught on to that. But what were some of the early therapies that they started to do to help you? Because, there could be someone in our audience today, curious, what should they look for in a child who may be having hearing challenges?
Well, I was very blessed with great parents that were proactive. They took me to the John Tracy Clinic when I was an infant after they detected, that I might have a hearing loss. And the John Tracy Clinic was kind of a leader in the mainstreaming of deaf children by applying the skills of lip reading, learning about music, learning about vibrations and sound, and learning to articulate. And the modalities we had back then were kind of body pack hearing aids that were fit around on your chest with straps and had, wires that went up to your ears. So it was very rudimentary at that point in time in the early 1960s.
Well, and I know initially you were also put into a classroom with students who had various challenges and impairments. And, your parents, your mom really spearheaded that you would go into mainstream. But I imagine mainstream had its own challenges, right? Because all these other kids could hear fine. And while you could see fine, I imagine that was tricky. What did you need to acquire to keep up with mainstream?
Well, it had to have great teachers with an understanding. As you mentioned, I went from Star King School that had students in the class of all various types of handicaps or disabilities, and the mainstreaming process was, such that you incorporate not just what's in school, but a lot of, like I mentioned before, speech therapy after school, and learning about how the world works in a hearing world. And the challenges are not being able to hear and saying, okay, yeah, I understand when you don't at a young age, and trying to overcome some of the stigma attached to hearing aids. Wearing hearing aids, I always had kids ask me, what do you have on your body there? And I always tried to equate it with, people wearing glasses. They wear glasses when they can't see, and I wear hearing aids because I can't hear. So, there were just a lot of different things, not just one particular.
Now, your parents were obviously tenacious in helping you get the therapies, but they also wanted you to be diverse, as a child with different athletics. I know you loved baseball, but ultimately at age 7, you found your way to the pool. Tell us about that.
Well, like you just mentioned, I was very blessed to have parents that had the wherewithal to and smarts, if you will, being doctors, and my mom was a nurse. But having the Boy Scouts and Little League Baseball and different exposure to the mainstream, if you will, and the swimming just was an outgrowth of, I had so much pent up energy at a young age. I used to chase my dog around the house and drove my mom crazy. So she took me to the local swim club, which happened to be Arden Hills in 1966, 67. And Sherm Shavor just happened to be the Olympic head women's coach in the 68 Olympics. And I was getting in the pool when Debbie Meyer and Mike Burton and Mark Spitz and a lot of these Olympic heroes in 1968, were getting out of the water. And I just happened to be in the right place at the right time, learning something that I eventually loved and enjoyed and wanted to be around.
Well, and that's the thing. You have to try many things, and there you found the pool was kind of your new home, right? Your home outside the home. And, what I find so interesting, because you and I got this connection, right? You have a hard time hearing, I have a hard time seeing. But, just like how here in the studio, we get creative. I have Eilish here giving me different cues. I mean, literally 1 minute to break. She puts a giraffe across my lap, and that's why I know it's 1 minute till we go to commercial. But you also had to get creative. Tell me about the ankle flicking and some of these ways in which you got creative.
Well, we all have different tricks in trying to overcome your challenges, and I guess the biggest one was anticipating the start. And my parents and my coach allowed my parents to take home a starter's pistol, and we built a makeshift block in our backyard pool, and we learned how to anticipate starts. We had people tap my heel when the gun would go off if I didn't. Make sure I didn't, miss it. And then eventually they came out with strobe lights to have a visual for the hearing impaired. So those are a couple of things that we did. The other thing was just, as you got older, you tended to study the starter to see if they were a slow starter, a fast starter, and you kind of anticipate, based on that particular person doing a starting at an international meet.
Well, and the thing is, we're talking today about creating your own path, and that is a perfect example of doing that, right? And so there is so much more, Jeff, to your story that I want to make sure that we cover. So I want you to stay with us, because that giraffe was just laid across my lap, and it is time to go into the commercial, but stay with us. And everybody, we're talking to Jeff Float today, and yes, he's going to go on and tell us about his journeys as a swimmer and just the great achievements that he made despite having this, legal deafness. I mean, nothing held him back. Now, that is the same for you. Let's pinpoint where in your life you're feeling burdens, you're feeling hopeless, and let's put those aside so that you can live your life full out. We'll be coming right after this break. Coming back, I'm Nancy Solari. This is the Living Full Out Show. Stay with us. We will be back.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari.
There are many sounds in your day-to-day life. There are sounds that wake you up. Sounds that make you smile. Sounds that energize you. And sounds that help you relax. But there are some sounds that can alert you to danger and can help save lives. Wireless emergency alerts, now on many mobile devices, use a unique sound and vibration to bring you information about severe weather events, Amber Alerts, or other emergencies in your area. With critical information from local sources you know and trust, you can be in the know, wherever you are. For more information, visit ready.gov/alerts. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Hello, my name is Jeffrey.
but people in this town call me Maniac. They call me that because I'm the fastest runner in town. But just because everyone knows who I am doesn't mean I belong. I don't really belong anywhere. You see, I'm an orphan, and I wander the streets just looking for a place that I can truly call home. My name is Maniac McGee, and I'm all alone. Explore new worlds. Read my story in the novel Maniac McGee by Jerry Spinelli. For other great book ideas, visit your local library or log on to literacy.gov. Brought to you by the Library of Congress and the Ad Council.
Look for the bare necessities.
The bare necessities of healthy living are easier than you think.
You better believe it.
And the food pyramid shows you the way with just the right amount of exercise and the necessary grains, vegetables, fruits, milk, and meats and beans.
Just the bare necessities of life.
So eat right, be active, and have fun.
Yeah, man.
For your own path to a healthier you, visit mypyramid.gov.
This is really living.
This message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the Ad Council.
Hi, my name is Nancy Solari, host of the Living Full Out Show. I am excited to let you know that we are now associated with Alexa. If you have Alexa in your house and you didn't know that, go ahead and find Living Full Out because you can hear us anytime you want, and we're there for you to keep you motivated. Go to your app store because we're located there as well. Just look for the Living Full Out radio show. It's important to us that we put out really inspiring programming, but we want to make sure that you have it at your fingertips when you need us most. We never know when those challenges are going to come, when we're going to feel lonely and need that motivation. So just know that when you need us, we're here for you. Check out Alexa, the app stores, or go to livingfullout.com. Here's to you living full out.
What if I could tell you that a full-blown wildfire was going to occur tomorrow right where you live? Tell you exactly which neighborhoods it would engulf and how fast it would do it. The first thing you would do is talk with your loved ones and make a plan today. It's true, I can't tell you a wildfire will strike tomorrow, but shouldn't you make a plan anyway? Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a life coach, Nancy can teach you how to stay strong under pressure and work through challenges you face. Being legally blind, Nancy inspires others to be resilient in overcoming obstacles and live full out. You can ask Nancy for advice in your life on relationships, finance, business, health, and more. Just call in at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. Now, here's Nancy.
Hello, thank you for joining us. I'm Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And we are now continuing our interview with Jeff Float. And while he was actually born in infancy, legally deaf, he went on to make amazing strides as a swimmer, which we're going to be getting to right now. But the most amazing thing about his story is that he did have to get creative. He did have to get resourceful due to having that impairment, but it didn't hold him back. And I really want you to listen closely to the rest of his story, because for him it was swimming. For you it may be another passion that you have. And let's really have you harness that, follow that dream and goal so that you can live your life full out. So I'd like to welcome Jeff back to the show.
Very nice to be here again, Nancy.
Well, happy to have you. And, you know, Jeff, let's just put aside, okay, the fact that you are legally deaf and you had lost a lot of hearing. I mean, 90% in your right ear, 65% in your left ear. But putting that aside, let's just talk about the dreams that you had for yourself as a swimmer, right? You know, you were practicing long days, double trainings, you know, and then all the ways in which you had to get creative, which you told us about in the prior segment with different cues and just finding your way to become the professional that in your heart you knew you could be. But after qualifying in 1980, there was obviously a boycott and you were not able to compete, and how devastating was that for you? Did you want to give up?
Well, yeah, it was very devastating in that, it's a lifelong dream. It starts at a young age, and, I was blessed to have great role models to give me that motivation to have those dreams and have a coach and peers that loved, to doing that. So, in 1980, it was just I was a sophomore at the University of Southern California, and I was very blessed to have a couple of years of collegiate eligibility left after my, 1980. So I tried to find a silver lining, but at the same time, it didn't take away the sting of, preparing for our trial in 1980 and having the announcement concomitantly with our trials, and it was very hollow as far as the feeling of accomplishment and knowing that we weren't going to the ultimate destination.
Now, getting that news, again, devastating with all the work that you had put in. And, there's no guarantees with any athlete, what the next 4 years would be like,
Mm-hmm.
right? An injury or anything, right? And so how did you rally? How did you get yourself to that positive place? How did you say, okay, game on, I'm going to qualify again?
Well, it took a while. I mean, I actually kind of had a personal depression for a while. It's just realizing that, the world doesn't evolve around you and your sport. And you learn from the lessons along the way that are very difficult at times. Life is the hardest teacher because they give you the test first and the lessons afterwards, and we're all tested.
Isn't that
so,
true? I love the way you said that. That just really hit home to me. That is very true. Now,
yeah. So,
Mhm.
Go ahead.
Well, the good news, though, is you did rally, you did work hard, and thankfully 1984 came. I almost advanced you there 10 years. And you did qualify again. And tell us what you competed in that Olympics.
Well, I was in a 200-meter freestyle, qualified second at the Olympic trials, qualifying me for both the individual 200 meters and the 800 relay. I was also third in both individual medleys, but they only took the top two at the trial. And so that was, I could say, the culmination of 17 years wrapped up into 1 week of the Olympic trials, which is the most intense swimming competition in the world.
Now, tell our audience, what made it so intense? What was that final few seconds that made it so intense?
Well, I'd like to tell everybody that, it's wrapped up, 17 years wrapped up into 1 minute and 49 seconds in a race. And so you're drawing all your resources and all your experience, and it's, comes to a head and it's a peak. And it's something that we've done, over and over for a long period of time. And to reach the trials, the intensity is that you only take two. And so you have to believe that you're going to win. And if you don't win, you're within 100th of a second of the winner to make that team. And the only place that's second is as good as first.
Well, and as you went along and you were making these achievements and the U.S. was doing so well, what was that like? Because I heard that you could finally hear the cheering of the crowds, like the loudest you'd ever heard it. What was that moment like for you to know that you'd reached this epic state in your career, but at the same time, you were able to really take part in hearing that?
Well, I made a conscious effort, when there's 17,000 fans in the stands at your home pool at USC and in your own country, there's a definite roar involved, and in this particular case, our race was like one of the most dramatic relay races in Olympic history at that time, and it was just when it just, you have to absorb that energy and feel it, and that's what I tried to do to during my race, was to feel that energy and the people and the roar, and especially after the race, when people didn't know who had won, and then when they looked at the board, and all of a sudden there was an incredible eruption that still resonates. I still get goosebumps when I talk about it. Talk about 4/100ths of a second.
Well, you're taking us back there. I am with you. I can hear the crowd. That is amazing. And I want to make a slight shift here because, again, my being legally blind, you're being legally deaf, right? We both have figured our ways out over the years, right, of how to get things done. But there are going to be those awkward times. I know that sometimes people will come to me and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so blind without my contacts in. And that's okay. I totally get that because I used to wear contacts and I couldn't see without them in either. But, when they say that, it's a bit of a because blindness is real for people who are blind.
Yeah.
And I'm sure people say, I can't hear you or whatever. And when people say things that are awkward and they kind of hit home and then maybe they're not so politically correct, do you educate them? How do you react?
Well, it's kind of a non-issue, but it's not. It's one of those things where you just have to listen and then observe, and then you do your best to not let it affect you in ways that would be detrimental. But it's a challenge, especially in the changing world we're in right now.
Yeah. You choose to rise above it, though, which is what I appreciate about you. And again, you're a glass half full person. That's just how you're built. But, again, you and I also share another similar situation, when we're maybe out at dinner, right? And it's loud and you're having a hard time seeing or hearing. And like for me, sometimes it's when it's a dark restaurant and I have a hard time seeing. It can be lonely. How do you personally handle those moments when you feel detached from the moment?
Well, back in the day, it was very difficult. And you think you'd hear something and you actually heard there was something else being said. And so, there were a lot of miscommunication where you thought you heard something and it wasn't correct. But now they've got, Starkey came out with some incredible hearing aids, that you can adjust to restaurant noises where it shuts out the background noise and you can, it telegraphs, the people that are talking right in front of you. So there's, there had been incredible strides technologically made. And then in situations like that, I really rely on lip reading to fill in the blanks where I may be missing orally or with the tone or the sound.
Wow. And today we are talking about creating your own path, and you've done that. But I'm also very curious, what does living full out mean to you?
Well, it means that you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, and you have to wake up every day that this is like the first day of the rest of your life, and that you have all these blessings at your disposal, and it's how are you going to use them to the best ability, and not just for yourself, but passing it on for other people. And that's where, I really enjoyed the coaching aspect of, giving back to my sport and the people that are in it. And I get back from them tenfold what I give out in a very meaningful way. As not just coach, but a life coach, significant tutor, if you will, or it's not just about a mentor. It's not just about swimming fast.
Right.
There's a lot more to it.
Well, your story was written in the stars. It's even in your name, right? You're Jeff Float, right? And you're a swimmer. So it all makes sense. But Jeff, I really appreciate you being on today because, like I said earlier, you are a shining light for us and great inspiration. And we're going to be wishing you all the best as you journey on throughout your day and week here.
Well, I had a very honored to met with you and talk to you and your story that's been inspiring to me personally. And the feeling is mutual. And I wish you continued success in all you've done to lift the spirits of people around the world.
Well, thank you, Jeff. I got that and took it right to my heart. I appreciate that. And have a wonderful day. Thank you. And for everybody listening, we're going to be coming back. But again, it's all about creating your own path, right? How do we do that? Well, call on in. Let's talk about it. And if you have an inspirational story, we'd like to hear from you. Perhaps we can have you on the show just like Jeff. Go ahead and reach out to us at connect@livingfullout.com with your story. Most of all, stay with us. It's all about living full out. I'm Nancy Solari. We'll be right back.
So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human, and she's got this little toy she's always playing with, all day long. Tap, 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 bloop, bloop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to it. Last week, she asked it for Chinese, and guess what? Egg rolls showed up. Like magic. Humans have cool toys.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
So, Jacqueline.
Yes, Mom?
I wanted to talk to you about something, and... Oh, wait. Hold on. I just got a text.
Oh, wait, Mom. I just got a message. So many comments on my comment. Hey, guys, check out my new video game. Mom, what? Huh? What'd you say?
This weekend, unplug. Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. To find the forest nearest you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Thanks for asking, but I'd rather not send you nude pictures. I'm camera shy. I already said no. It's against my religion. I'm giving my dog a bath. You can have pictures of that. Pressure gives me hives. Under my clothes, I'm a robot. Hold on, let me ask my mom. Sorry, my webcam is broken. I'm worried they'll get passed around school. Unfortunately, I just had my clothes surgically attached to my body. If they got out, I might never be president. I'm already naked, under my clothes. Not even if you were all three Jonas Brothers. I have a rash. I have nudophobia. I have lizard skin. The more you ask, the less I want to. You're not the boss of me. Nudity makes me vomit. I'm a vampire, so I don't show up in pictures anyways. Your badgering has really killed the mood.
When someone is pressuring you to do something you don't want to, how many ways can you say no before they get the message? Let us know at that'snotcool.com. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
If you own a gun, you have a full-time responsibility. When you aren't using it, be sure it can't get into the hands of curious children, troubled teenagers, a thief, or anyone else who might misuse it. Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. Remember, always, lock it up. For more information on firearm storage safety, visit ncpc.org. This message brought to you by the National Crime Prevention Council, the Bureau of Justice Assistance, and the Ad Council.
This is a test to find out if you know it all when it comes to children. Name one of the leading killers of U.S. children age 1 to 13. What's the best way to protect children in a car crash? At what age and size should a child start using a booster seat?
Don't assume you know it all when it comes to car seats for your child. Go to safercar.gov/the-right-seat and know for sure. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
When I grow up, I want to be a new pair of blue jeans.
When I grow up, I want to be a kid's first computer.
I want to be a warm fleece on a cold day.
Football
I want to be a bike that races around the country.
I want to be a bench on a forest trail.
When I grow up, I don't want to be a piece of garbage. And if you recycle me, I won't be.
Give your garbage another life. Recycle. Learn how at iwanttoberecycled.org. Brought to you by Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council.
Well, I finally did it. My student loan is totally paid off.
What? What about our plan to win the lottery and start living? You know, travel the world on matching yachts, wear enough jewelry to require a bodyguard, vacation on the French Riviera, and then buy it.
You know we're never going to win the lottery, right?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
When it comes to creating your own path, think about what excites you. If you could do something as a career for a living, what would that be? And then you want to think about, okay, what resources might I need? Some are free, some are a cost, and what supporters, what mentors might I need? Feel free to reach out to us at connect@livingfullout.com because we want to give you that support.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. Nancy is here as a guide to show you how to rise above obstacles and savor each moment. If you have a question, call in live at 800-333-0001. That's 800-333-0001. And now, here's Nancy.
Welcome back. I'm Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And I just want to thank, first of all, everybody for listening, because it is so important that we take this moment now to really get juiced up for the day, for the week, for the year, and really get centered on, what's going right in my life and where do I need to make adjustments and, what do I really want? And I always want you to remember that those wants can change. You might have a want in the early years of your life, and it's not the same want you want later. And that's the great thing. Life is ever changing. It's organic. It's fluid. And so sometimes we have to let the freedom of that occur. That's why today we're talking about creating our path, right? Get excited about that. Like, what is possible? Now, I'm getting word from our producer that we do have a caller on the line. We're going to go say hello to them. Hi, welcome to the Living Full Out Show.
Hi, Nancy. How are you?
I am great. Thank you for calling in. How can I help you?
So my question for you is, I have been suffering from bouts of depression for a long time. And I've started to, and I'm in my 50s, I've started to address the issue with doctors and some therapists. And I've been married for 25 years, and I don't think my husband at all knows the extent of my issue. So I've been trying to navigate how to, and he doesn't believe in medication or therapist. So I've just tried to navigate how to tell him, or if I even should tell him what I'm going through. So just wondered what you thought.
It's a great question. And I've kind of given a similar answer I'm going to give you sometimes when it comes to just overall communication, right, to other listeners that have called in. But the tough thing about when we have something that's a matter of the heart, something where, when we're going to say it, we almost want to cry, or we want to go in denial because we don't want to say it at all, or we're scared that they might leave us, right? Those are real concerns. But what I'm going to say to you is, you want to think about what is the best communication method where your husband receives it. So I'm an auditorial receiver, right? Someone writes me something, or if I'm reading something, it doesn't hit my heart as much as when I hear somebody say something by phone or in person. Now, for others, they have to sit with something. They have to almost do their own research, their own processing. And sometimes when someone is sitting in front of them and they're crying, or they're scared, or it's almost like really hard for them to take it all in. So what you might consider doing, and I don't know, what do you think his best communication method would be?
I don't know. He's not the best communicator, period, to be honest with you. So
okay, but do you think he's more of a written? Does he tend to kind of go to that?
I think probably talking to him would probably be the best method. I'm sure when we're alone. I don't know if writing a letter would work for him, but it might be an option for me. That's a good idea, actually.
Well, just look at him, observe him in the next week, maybe 2 weeks. Is he the person who reads the book, reads the paper, reads online, or is he someone that gravitates more to listening to the radio, watching TV, talking to people in person or on the phone? Find out what that method is. Then you don't want to give somebody too much at one time. Again, they got to process it. So you got to kind of make your own outline of how you would like to best unfold this, okay? Before you get to what happened, you might want to explain just the current how you're feeling. And that's what's kind of had you start this channel of discovery, right? Then you might have another sit down or another letter where you say, I want to share with you, this is what happened. And then you might have another chunk, another conversation, another letter where it's like, I've talked to different people and these are some of my options. And just allow him to take it in chunks. That's what I would do. What do you think?
Good idea. I think it's a fabulous idea, actually. And I'm really, as I'm talking to you, thinking a letter it may be a really good option for me to write it down, you know. And,
and you know what? Write those letters and read them to a girlfriend first. Read them out loud to yourself. Record them. Hear yourself reading it. You don't have to write a letter and give it away right away. You can process it. So, thank you so much for calling in, though, because honestly, you're gonna do great. Just hang in there, okay?
Thank you so much. Have a nice day, Nancy.
You too. Thank you for calling in. And for everybody listening, it is about finding the best way to communicate. It is about getting creative, because that's how we go down that path of life, and that's how we make the best decisions we can, right? So the entire Living Full Out family thanks you for listening today, and we really want to make sure that beyond today's show, again, go to our website, listen to the show again, or many, many different episodes on various topics. Also, make sure you check out the Personal Development Bootcamp, because so many listeners today touched on topics that we talk about, that we work with you on in that bootcamp. And most of all, here's to you living your life full out, because I believe in you and you can do it. Whatever that goal is, whatever that dream is, it is absolutely attainable. Just sometimes we have to get creative in putting that path together. Here's to you living your life full out. See you soon.
Thank you for listening to the Living Full Out Show with Nancy Solari. To learn more about this program, visit livingfullout.com for the latest episodes. Connect with the Living Full Out community by following us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and subscribing to our YouTube channel. If you have an inspirational story you want to share, email us at connect@livingfullout.com. Here's to you, living full out.